Hey everyone, it's Dr. Steve Kahn. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more of this informational content. So today we're going to take a look at a very important gland called the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is the body's major metabolic gland because it produces two very important hormones that are the body's major metabolic hormones, the thyroid hormones. So the thyroid hormones, we can break them down into T3 and T4, triiodothyronine and thyroxine. So how does the thyroid gland actually produce these metabolic hormones? We have to start at the beginning, which is going to be where? In the hypothalamus. So if we go to the hypothalamus, which is this region up here, we've got a bunch of nuclei, many nuclei in this hypothalamus. And in the hypothalamus, one of the nuclei that's going to be vital here for the production of the thyroid hormones is going to be called thyroid releasing hormone. It's going to be called TRH. So TRH, thyroid releasing hormone, is going to have its effect on the anterior pituitary gland. And in the anterior pituitary gland, like we've talked about before, the adenohypophysis, we have a hormone that's going to be produced there called thyroid stimulating hormone. So TSH is produced in what structure? The anterior pituitary. TRH is produced in what structure? The hypothalamus. So TRH has its effect where? In the pituitary gland. TSH has its effect where? Basically in the thyroid gland. And in the thyroid gland that we're seeing here, what hormones are produced? They usually abbreviate them as TH, thyroid hormones. We know we have two thyroid hormones that play a very important role in all our cells' metabolism, which are T3 and T4. So those hormones, they're going to have an effect on virtually every single one of our cells in the body. This is why when people have issues with metabolism, they can trace it back many times to the thyroid gland, and many times they might have hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism. Too much of this hormone or too little of this hormone is going to lead to a whole cascade of clinical manifestations that we can see in the body. So what can we see? If we look at this graph here, we can see a whole bunch of effects. The main thing to keep in mind here is that we're dealing with the body's basal metabolic rate, the BMR. What does that mean? That means that everything that my body needs to basically take something big and break it down, so from the macro to the micro, that's called catabolism. And when I take the micro and build it up to the macro, that's called anabolism. So I go from the simple to the complex, that's anabolism. If I go complex to simple, that's catabolism. The whole dynamic of both of these things happening is called metabolism. And every single cell undergoes metabolism. So that's why this hormone is called the body's major metabolic hormone. And when this hormone is thrown out of whack, well, you're going to see the effects of hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism. Now, an interesting thing to take a look here is the histology. So this is what trips up a lot of people. What does this look like underneath the microscope? There are about 3 locations that we have to understand within the histology of the thyroid gland that are difficult for people to understand. Let's break it down real quick. Within this cell structure here, we're going to call it this fluid here, is the colloid. The colloid basically is fluid. It's a fluid-filled follicle, essentially. And it has very important ingredients that are going to help make my thyroid hormones. But my thyroid hormones are not there. There are ingredients that are there. If I'm making, pancakes, the pancakes aren't going to be found in the colloid, but the flour, the sugar, the milk is going to be found there, right? The ingredients needed to make the pancake in this case. In this case, it's the thyroid hormones. So we're going to have thyroglobin, and we're going to have iodine that's going to be found here. So those two ingredients, thyroglobin and iodine, are essential for the formation of my thyroid hormones. And where are they found? Those ingredients are found in the colloid, which is this fluid-filled kind of sac that you're seeing here. The other cell population to note is going to be along the periphery or the edge that you're seeing here. These are my follicular cells. My follicular cells are super important because that's where my thyroid hormones are going to actually be found. So the significance of the follicular cells is that my thyroid hormones, T3 and T4, are actually going to be found here now. Okay, so where are the ingredients? In the colloid. Where's the actual hormone? In the follicular cells. And then we have the parafollicular cells. This is what causes the most confusion. The difference between follicular and parafollicular. Between the colloid cells, between my colloid cells, I'm going to circle them for you guys here. Between all these colloid-filled cells, we have what are called the parafollicular cells. And these subpopulations that we're seeing here, and here, these cells here are going to secrete another hormone called calcitonin. And calcitonin is really important in terms of regulating my blood calcium levels. So calcitonin, calcium, right? And there's another hormone, it's not shown here, but it's going to be called the parathyroid gland that we'll talk about in a bit, and how its hormone has an antagonistic or opposite effect to calcitonin. But we'll talk about calcitonin right now. Calcitonin, its main job is to help deposit that calcium that's found in blood into bone. So it's decreasing my blood calcium levels and increasing its deposit into compact bone, especially into compact bone, to basically fortify that osseous tissue. That's the main job here, is I'm taking the calcium from blood and depositing it into bone. That's the main function or objective of calcitonin. So those are the major things to kind of keep in mind, histologically speaking, about the thyroid gland. Okay, thanks so much for joining. See you in the next one.